Hello everyone, in this video I am going to analyze the History NET paper which held on December 2019. So without wasting any time, let's get started. This time 30 questions were asked from ancient history, 33 questions were from medieval history, 29 questions were from modern history and 8 questions were from historiography. The questions asked from ancient Indian history were sort of easy, only 7 to 8 were hard, while in the medieval section questions ranged from easy to moderate level. This time the section of modern Indian history ranged from moderate to hard. Some of the questions of modern history were twisted and needed a really deep understanding of the subject. Overall, I would say that the paper was easy as compared to previous years. Two paragraphs were asked in the paper with 5 questions each. One paragraph was related to the revolt of 1857 and another paragraph was related to the sources of medieval history, which was again easy. The paragraph of medieval history was related to Barani and his book, Tehreek-e-Firoz Shahi. Sources of history has always been a favorite topic of NET. This year also a lot of questions came from this topic only. The main focus of the paper was on culture and economy part. Coming to the section of ancient Indian history, 2 questions came from sources of ancient Indian history. Out of them, one was from Sangam literature and one was from Puranas. 4 questions were asked from Stone Age, 3 questions were from Indus Valley civilization, 2 were from Vedic era and 2 questions were from period of Mahajanpadas. 6 questions came from Mauryan Empire. These questions were from edicts, Buddhism, administration, Megasthenes. Rest all the questions were from Imperial Guptas and regional state of India. Out of these, one was from Pratihara, 2 questions were from art and architecture section, 1 question was from Gupta and Vakatakas, 2 questions were asked from inscription. Students who would have seen my videos on inscription, they must have easily solved these 2 questions. 1 question came from economy and society, 1 question came from Palas and Senas, 1 question was related to contact with Sri Lanka and Southeast Asia and 2 questions were directly from education and literature part. In the section of ancient Indian history, a lot of questions were repeated as it is from the previous year papers. I will give you few examples. A question came in the exam was the earliest evidence of crop production has been found at which of the following Neolithic sites of the Indian subcontinent, and the options given were Kiligul Muhammad, Kot Diji, Mehi, Mehergarh. The answer to this question was Mehergarh, and this question came from as it is from the previous year paper of 2014. Another question which was related to rulers of India who were the devotees of Shiva, and the option to this question were Harshvardhana, Bhoja Parmara and 2 other. This also was as it is repeated from the previous year's paper. The question which came from the sources of ancient Indian history, it was it was related to Jaina text Bhagavati Sutra. That question also was a repeated question. A lot of questions in ancient were repeated. Moving to the section of medieval history, 7 questions were directly or indirectly asked from sources of medieval Indian history. Out of these 7, 2 were from literary sources, 1 was from foreign travelers, and the paragraph which came in the exam was also related to sources of medieval Indian history. 7 questions came from the political developments. Out of these 7, 2 were related to Turks and Khiljis, 1 was related to Shah Jahan, 3 questions were related to Alauddin and 1 was related to Bakhtiyar Khilji. 3 questions were asked from foundation of Mughal Empire, 1 question was asked from later Mughals and disintegration of Mughal Empire. This question was related to chronological order. 2 questions were related to Vijayanagara and Brahmins. 6 questions came from the administration. Out of these 6, 2 were from Mughal administration, 2 were from land and revenue, 1 was from fiscal and military, and 1 was related to the reign of Akbar. 4 questions came from the society section, where one was related to Jahangir, one was from Sufism, one was from cultural life, and one was from painting. This year 2 questions were asked from art and architecture section, where one was related to Jami Mosque. In the medieval history also some of the questions were repeated questions. Here I will give you few examples, like a question: according to the epigraphic records, who among the following kings of ancient India were accomplished musicians? 4 options were given, and this question was also a repeated question. Second question: arrange the following Chishti Sufi Sikhs in chronological sequence. This was also an easy question and was a repeated question. Another question: which of the following statements for Sultan Alauddin Khilji are correct? This question also was a repeated question, and this question has been repeated in the NET exam multiple times. Now moving to the section of modern Indian history, which was little bit on the tougher side. 4 questions were asked from sources of modern Indian history. 3 questions were from administration of company and crown. Out of these 3, one was related to constitution and one was related to police reforms. 10 questions were asked from Indian society in transition. Out of these 10, 3 were from socio-religious reforms, 2 were from education, 2 were from creative literature, 1 was from modern science, 1 was related to music, and 1 was related to dramas. 11 questions came from the national movement. Out of these 11, 3 questions were from Gandhian mass movement, and then there were 5 questions which were paragraph questions, which were from revolt of 1857. The questions of modern Indian history were not on the simpler side. One needed a deeper understanding of the subject to solve these questions. This year 2 questions were asked which were related to Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar. There was a question related to Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar. Then there was a question related to Star of India, then Congress session at Karachi, then Theosophical Society, then a question was asked related to Bengali merchants and English ships. There were 2 questions which were statement questions, like who said this statement. Then there was a chronological question related to political associations which were formed pre-Congress era. Then there was a question related to Prem Chand and his literary work. There was a question related to Banarsi Das. Then there was a question related to social legislations passed by the Britishers. This was again a chronological question. The paragraph asked from the modern Indian history was from revolt of 1857, and this was pretty easy. Moving to the section of historiography, 3 questions were from scope and importance of history, 1 was from criticism of history, 2 were from causation and imagination in history, 1 was from heuristic operations, 1 was from negative and positive schools of historical writing. These questions ranged from moderate to hard level. Here I will give you few examples of the questions asked from historiography section. In one question, definition of history was given, and it was asked who among the following has so defined history. Another question, which one of the following functions of external criticism in historical writing is not correct? 4 statements were given and you had to find out the incorrect statement. Then there was a question related to subject matter and thought process of history. Overall, this year the paper was pretty easy as compared to last year's. Thank you for watching this video. Please like this video and subscribe to our channel.